Lately, you have probably been hearing a lot about the end of times. There is often talk of a great reset, a financial crisis, and a digital passport. In this video, we will explain that we are indeed living in a time that is nearing the rapture of Christ's church. According to biblical standards, this will be happening 2,000 years after the redemptive work of Christ. 2 Peter 3:3-4. Knowing this first, that scoffers will come in the last days, walking according to their own lusts, and saying, "Where is the promise of his coming? For since the fathers fell asleep, all things continue as they were from the beginning of creation." Peter then replied, saying that the day of the Lord is unknown. He explained in 2 Peter 3:8-9 that with the Lord, 1 day is as 1,000 years, and 1,000 years as 1 day. You have probably seen for yourself that many people doubt the existence of God. They see so much misery in the world, and they can't hear a word from God while He is building His body in secret. When the people of Israel crossed the Jordan River, they had to follow 2,000 cubits behind the ark. This represented the coming rebirth of the Jewish people 2,000 years after the rebirth of Christ. In Hosea 6:1-2, we read that for 2 days Jesus didn't work on His people, Israel, but we know that after He rose from the grave, He began building His own body. Hosea 6:1-2. Come and let us return to the Lord, for He has torn, but He will heal us. He has stricken, but He will bind us up. After 2 days He will revive us. On the 3rd day He will raise us up, that we may live in His sight. Maybe this is sounding indirect and like we are just searching aimlessly for connections in the Bible. So let's take a further look into the timeline. From Adam's time on earth to Christ's time on earth, there was about 4,000 years in between. Since Christ's time on earth, approximately 2,000 years have passed. This makes a total of 6,000 years from Adam until now. In the Bible, we read about a 1,000-year kingdom of peace with Christ on the throne. Looking back at history, this has not yet happened, so we can assume it will be coming soon. Revelation 20, verse 6. Blessed and holy is he who has part in the first resurrection. Over such the second death has no power. But they shall be priests of God and of Christ, and he shall reign with them 1,000 years. So, we know that from Adam's time to today, around 6,000 years have come and gone, and that there should be another approximate 1,000 years of peace on earth. This means that there will be around 7,000 years of time since Adam. Do you know the significance of the number 7 in the Bible? 7 is the number that symbolizes completeness. It indicates that something is finished and that things cannot get better or worse than they already are. Here are some examples of the number 7 representing completeness in the Bible. God created each week with 7 days. In Leviticus 25, we learn about the Sabbath Year, which occurs every 7 years, when the ground would be given rest and the days would be dedicated to God. John wrote his letters to the 7 churches in Asia Minor, Revelation 1:4. The visions John received were composed of 7 seals, 7 trumpets, and 7 bowls, Revelation 5, verse 1, chapter 8, 2, and chapter 15, verse 7. In Revelation 17:2, there is a beast with 7 horns, and in Revelation 5:6, there is the Lamb of God with 7 horns. 7 is the number of God. It shows that history is not dependent on man, but rather it happens all according to God's plan. It is the number of fullness, completion, rest, and abundance. In the Bible, the number 8 is the beginning of a new era. The circumcision of a baby took place on the 8th day of its life, and the 8th day is known to be Jesus' resurrection day. Each new week also begins with day 8 because it is the day following the last 7-day period. So it makes sense that after 7,000 years, the present world will be made into a new creation. That means that between the resurrection and the rapture, there will be approximately 2,000 years. Jesus gave several examples during his earthly walk that explained how he would be building his body in 2 days. John 2:19-21. Jesus answered and said to them, "Destroy this temple, and in 3 days I will raise it up." Then the Jews said, "It has taken 46 years to build this temple, and you will raise it up in 3 days?" But he was speaking of the temple of his body. Jesus was laid in a grave for 2 days and then rose again on the 3rd day. After the 2nd day came something new. Since the redemptive work of Christ, the Lord has been working on his body and not just the people of Israel. In Hosea, we read that after 2 days, Jesus would revive us, and on the 3rd day, he would raise us up. In this video, we explained a few different reasons as to why the period between the redemption and the rapture will be around 2,000 years. The time from Adam's life to Christ's life was around 4,000 years. There will be a kingdom of peace for 1,000 years. The number 7 is the biblical symbol of completeness. The number 8 is a representation of the beginning of something new. Christ explained that he would be building his body in 2 days. In the Old Testament, we find a few stories from God showing he will spend 2,000 years with his people, Israel. 2 Peter 1:19 says, "And so we have the prophetic word confirmed, which you will do well to heed as light that shines in a dark place, until the day dawns and the morning star rises in your hearts." Live your life on earth and be sure to trust and rest in the plans of God.